obviously, yesterday you guys did cancer treatments. I know that probably took longer than I probably thought in my head. But you guys went through about 5 or 6 different cancer treatments, ranging from talking about the MAB drugs and the NIB drugs. And one of the questions I had in there was like listening to like TV commercials and stuff. Did anyone hear or see any of those drugs listed on TV or anything anywhere else last night, or no? No? All right.
Nah.
Well, honestly, most of the drugs that are on TV now are MAB drugs because they cost a lot to make, and so they market them. They're amazing. They're amazing drugs that do really good things, but they're trying to get more people on them. One of the most famous ones you guys probably have seen commercials for is Humira. Even though you have no idea what Humira is for, it's a drug that is continuously on TV over and over and over again. And that was actually one of the first MAB drugs. And so it was extremely expensive because it was the first one ever. The other MAB drugs that are really famous right now, outside of cancer, a lot of the COVID drugs that you guys hear about are treating people, or the really expensive ones, those are all MAB drugs. They're designed to basically attack your immune system, to slow down your immune systems, because that's what we're going to talk about COVID on Thursday a little bit, the COVID vaccine. But that's one of the things that we got to figure out with COVID is most people actually don't die from the virus. They die from the overreaction of their immune system. At least that people that are like middle-aged people. Older people struggle with other things, but for the most part, when you hear someone that's like under 55 years old dying from COVID, it's due to their immune system overreacting. So that was yesterday. Today we're going to talk about, you're going to do mitosis drawing. Mitosis is really not a part of AP Bio, but I find that kind of weird because without a good background in it, meiosis is really hard when we come back from break. And so I want to make sure that we at least draw mitosis, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow a little bit. I also did some things about one more cancer treatment, which is CAR T. This is the new one. This is gene therapy. This is one that's expanding like crazy in the last couple months. And also it's kind of connected to the RNA vaccine that we're going to talk about on Thursday. And then I have like a little gene editing, like you don't have to do anything with that. You just have to read it. One of the things that I'm disappointed about in this class about leaving and not teaching second semester is I really enjoy biotech, and talking about the fact, like, what can we do, what can't we do, where we're at in the whole idea of like changing people's genes. And like I said in there, your guys' generation is going to be one that's going to decide what we do with people's genes. Do we alter them? Do we allow people to alter them? Do we where is the cutoff line? Because it's going to start from a good place, and it is starting from a good place. Like right now, we're starting to edit people's genes that have Down syndrome early in their fetal process. We're editing people's genes that have cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. We're trying to remove some of these problems that people have that irreversibly affect their life now and become their life. But where does that line stop? Like, what disease is not that big a deal that we're like, oh, we shouldn't affect somebody of that, or what experience? Because it's on roughly in a society like a European society, about 30% of people are obese. That are obese, I should say, are obese because of their genetics alone. And so is that something we should edit? Someone's metabolism so they're not obese? Because that affects your life pretty good. Should we affect someone's IQ? We realize that their IQ is low. Should we affect that? It's going to be an interesting next 20 years with this. And that's discounting the fact that realistically, we had one rogue scientist 2 years ago say he cloned a human being. We're not far away from cloning either. It's going to happen. Currently, we've kind of let some things go. Like we're 11 months deep into 18 months of producing a woolly mammoth. The first woolly mammoth came out and was a stillborn out of an elephant. we'll see if this one comes out as a stillborn. It's alive right now in there, so we'll see. I don't know. It's just interesting. Where do we take genetics with this? Anyways, and then later this week, tomorrow, you guys will have a quiz starting tomorrow. Last week I gave a quiz in here and a quiz in my 10th grade, and I'm more talking about my 10th grade. But out of the 80 quizzes that I got, 41 of them had some form of cheating on them. So I'm done with quizzes online. I'm done with tests online. So we're gonna go kind of project based. And so we're gonna do paging doctor. And so I did this a couple years ago and it worked out pretty well. If it is a lot of work, this is me just trying to be helpful. If this is a lot of work and you're gonna blow past the due date, that's fine. Take your time on it and work on it over break. As long as I get it before that last weekend of break, I'm not gonna grade anything until that last weekend of break. I'm gonna take my time off like you guys are. Then do it. So what that is it's basically instead of a quiz, what you're doing is you're going to be answering a lot of questions about cancer and some things that we've talked about and some things we haven't, some things that we usually talk about in person, but we didn't because I was trying to not be as in depth online, I guess, because it takes up too much time. But you're going to be a doctor and you're talking to a patient that has cancer, that just found out they had cancer. And so you're going to go through some things with them. As you can see, if you open it, basically you're creating a script. If you don't want to write a script and you just want to answer the questions, okay. But as the rubric says below, the highest you can get on the assignment is a C if you do that. But so you write a script back and forth. Obviously, you guys aren't, movie writers or book writers, but as long as the script is pretty good. A couple of years ago, it was pretty funny. Some people weren't really into it, and it was good. But anyways, so I also want you guys to have sources. So if there's any information that you guys pull off the internet that isn't from my class, I want you guys to have a source, please. I gave you guys the patient card. Sorry, my computer is running so slow. I don't know if it's the internet or whatever. And then I gave you guys 26 or 27 talking points to have with your patients, and you only have to pick 20 of them. Okay. And some of them you'll even notice, like number 12 here, it says, draw out a dividing cell into its different steps of mitosis for your patient. That's worth 4 questions. So that right. So some of these are worth more than just 1 question point. So you have to do 20 questions. And all the instructions are here, exactly what you have to kind of do. There's the rubric, roughly. It's not the greatest rubric I've ever written in my life, but it's something. I heard a noise. Let's see who it was. It was Alex.
Is there any bonus thing for doing every single question or nah?
That's up to you guys. Do you guys think there should be a bonus thing for every single question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell, let's just do that. So if you do every single question, I'll give you some extra credit. And if you need help with any of those questions, at the back end of this week, I will be here every single day at school. I'm always in this Google Meet. Like legitimately, this is always on. So you can always just come in, and if I'm not at my desk, just yell. It probably means I'm in the CAD room somewhere fiddling with lasers or something else. So just let me know, if you need help. Anyway, so back to today. So today is talking about cancers and viruses. And so this is an interesting topic that we really didn't understand until very recently. And yesterday when we were talking 2 days ago, I don't remember what it was, where we were talking about what causes viruses, or not viruses, cancer. Sorry, what causes cancer. And there was viruses listed, but this is a new idea and something that is honestly, I wouldn't say it's becoming scary, I guess, a little bit in some ways. But what we're finding is upwards of about 10 to 15% of all cancers in humans are caused by viruses that we have around us at almost all times. And I'll show you guys how this happens in a second. But one of the most common ones that this occurs in is with HPV. And HPV is a sexually transmitted disease. There's about 31 types of HPV. The last study done at Ferris, I mean, this is not just Ferris. Don't feel like Ferris is just like a trash heap of human beings. But the last study done at Ferris was in 2012 for the HPV, and over 82% of sexually active college students had HPV. And so some of these HPV viruses lay dormant and never do anything in a human being. Sometimes they do. And, you know, it's a wide range. 99% of penile cancer, cervical cancer, about 40% of testicular cancer, and a couple other ones down in that region are all caused by HPV. And so this is a high amount. And I have a slide here. Yeah, so this is out of all the cancers that get diagnosed, how much of them are based on just viruses at the moment. And one we're still studying is Epstein-Barr. This is one that you're going to hear in the news a lot in the next couple of weeks. Epstein-Barr is a virus that we all truly have. It's in your body right now. If your immune system is shot or overworking, sometimes it will come out and actually do something. And what it does is it usually gives you either cold symptoms, or in severe symptoms, it will actually make your face look like you had a stroke. Like half your face will become paralyzed. And why I bring it up, it's a big thing in the next couple of weeks, is in the 1970s, one of the flu vaccines that were rushed caused people to have Epstein-Barr episodes. And like we're talking like 1 out of every 3 people had an Epstein-Barr. And I'm starting to see articles about it warning people not to get the vaccine because they might have Epstein-Barr things. And we have not seen that at all with the COVID vaccines, 1. And 2, like, if my face is paralyzed for a week, it's paralyzed for a week. I'd rather have that than have COVID. So it's a cost analysis thing. But anyways, so these are some different ones. Obviously, I talked about HPV. We have hepatitis. The B and C form of hepatitis causes all types of liver cancers. Basically, we're finding almost all liver cancer comes from hepatitis. We have some other ones. And what's interesting is these are all retroviruses. And what retroviruses are unique for is they're really, really good at doing this. And I know we haven't really done any notes so far today, but I wanted you guys to write this down really quick. This is actually a unit that used to cover an AP Bio, but we never do anymore. And I still kind of want you guys to have an idea. So this is the lytic cycle and the lysogenic cycle. This is what viruses do to your cells. There's 2 options for viruses. You guys are probably familiar with the lytic cycle because of all the talk about viruses, where a virus will come up to a cell, drop off its DNA or RNA. The cell makes all the parts for the virus. The viruses get assembled, and then the cells explode with thousands and thousands of viruses. That's the normal virus cycle. A lot of these cancer-causing viruses and the most dangerous viruses to human beings, like retroviruses, they use the lysogenic cycle in humans, meaning a virus drops off its DNA, the DNA connects with our DNA, and it stays inside of our cells. And this doesn't happen yet. And it gets multiplied, and all of a sudden, all of our cells, a lot of our cells start having this viral DNA inside of it, just waiting. And roughly right now, you sitting in front of your computer, anywhere between 5 to like 10% of your DNA is virus DNA. So 5 to 10% of you is not even you, it's a virus. And that DNA is just sitting there. and we're still trying to learn what the triggers are. But there are some viruses that will get into your DNA and never do anything, and then there's some that if they get into certain cells, they'll cause cancer, like HPV. So HPV drops off its DNA, and eventually, in like cervical cancer, that DNA will start being read, and it will just start mass producing cells. And this mass producing a cell will create a tumor and therefore cancer. So this lysogenic cycle is unique, and every animal has a different set of viruses that do it. We have mostly it's retroviruses in humans, and what retroviruses are viruses that are RNA based. So things like HIV, HPV, anytime anything starts with H, it's pretty much bad news with viruses. Herpes, hepatitis, those are all retrograde viruses. They will hold the RNA or DNA and they'll go through lysogenic. And so they'll stay around basically forever. Same with chickenpox. Chickenpox is actually not a retrovirus, but it uses lysogenic. That's one of the things where they say, like, once you have chickenpox, you've had it for life in your immune system. Well, chickenpox can actually stay around like this for a long time. And their code actually doesn't screw up cancer. What it does is it gets reread, and your cells, like 50 years later, will actually start making more viruses. So it's an interesting life cycle for a virus, that's for sure. And so this idea, this is, the life cycle of a virus, either one. On Thursday, we're going to talk about coronavirus vaccines and talk about that and the RNA vaccine and whatnot. But we're actually starting to use this process against viruses. And what we're doing is what you saw with the cancer treatments is we're starting to create our own breed of viruses. We're creating a bunch of different breeds of viruses, but one of the ones for cancer is we're creating something called oncolytic viruses. And what they are is they're viruses that we have designed to attack our own cells, but they'll deliver either immune responses to the cells and instructions of how to kill cancer cells, or they're designed to only attack cancer cells. And this year we didn't watch it because a lot of you guys were in my 10th grade class. But my 10th grade class a couple years ago, we watched this pretty decent long video about humans taking polio and changing polio to attack cancer cells. And that's still going on. And that's in year 8 of the 10-year requirement for viruses. So in a couple of years, we're going to start using viruses to fight cancer across the board. And those polio viruses are designed to just attack cancer cells. And these oncolytic viruses, they're designed just to go to your immune cells and give them instructions on how to fight the enemy. It's almost like somebody from outside of a country coming in, training up the army for them to be better and then to go fight the enemy, which happened a lot back in the day, like maybe in the American Revolution, where the French come teach us how to become an army. And so this idea is pretty cool with these viruses, and we're using it for cancer. The other way we're using this idea is with the mRNA virus or vaccines that we'll talk about Thursday and that people started getting yesterday, which are, instead of using a virus, the vaccine is just full of this code. And this code goes to your cells, and it goes to your cells, it creates the immune response for you to not be able to have the virus. You're basically teaching your cells how to fight the virus without ever having to have the virus. So that's how those mRNA vaccines work. And that's why I said they're so groundbreaking, because one day we'll be able to teach all of our cells everything that's wrong with them and fix almost anything. That's the idea. And they're starting to get them. And I will say yesterday, my sister got her vaccine. And if you guys actually go to the Google Sheets, I put it. Maybe I didn't put it up here. Shoot, where did I put it? Oh no, I thought I had it up here. I'll put it up here for you guys. today. I don't know, huh? But there's a thing on New York Times. It's a graphic, and it will tell you exactly where you roughly stand in line to get your vaccine right now. Um, and it's pretty interesting based on your age. You guys are gonna be further back in the line, just being honest with you. But based on your age and your health and everything like that, it's interesting to see where people are. Like me and Mr. Arnold did it yesterday, and Mr. Arnold in Michigan is like 2.4 millionth in line. And he probably won't get vaccinated until like April. And I'm 250,000th in line. So I'm going to get vaccinated probably, hopefully within the next month or so. Um, because we're doing about 91,000 vaccines a week right now. That's the plan. So it's kind of interesting to see where you stand. I'll put that up as a link for today, right here in a couple minutes here. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of go over vaccines, or not vaccines, viruses and cancer, and try to talk about the fact that, this is something that is new and we're learning a lot about. And so for a long time, we weren't really doing enough with viruses and trying to make sure people didn't get them. Now we're being more cautious with that because you never know. You never know if they're going to go lysogenic, and that DNA could screw up the DNA in the future and cause cancer. So, is there any questions? All right. If there's no questions, you guys are free to go. I appreciate you guys coming in. I appreciate you guys doing the work. I appreciate the people that aren't cheating on the quizzes. I appreciate that. I'm going to do your grades today, so your grades will be updated once I get back to school. But if you have any no more questions, you guys are free to go. I'll see you guys.
Do you want the list of like people who showed up here? Or?
Yeah. If you could email that to me, I would love that.
Yeah, no, I got you.
I appreciate it.
I have a question. Do you know like anything about stem cells being treated for like cancer, or how they're trying to use stem cells?
Yeah, I mean, stem cells. So with stem cells, we were using them more so for the recovery after cancer, than actually with the actual like treatment of cancer. Sometimes what we do is they'll go in for like surgery, and they'll remove the cancer tumor, and then they'll insert stem cells to kind of like start growing in the place. Because what stem cells have an advantage of is obviously they can become any kind of cell, one, but
Right.
two, because of their uniqueness, they actually they grow almost just as fast as cancer cells. And so what happens sometimes when we have cancer surgeries, or honestly what happens almost all the time, is we don't get all the cancer. It's kind of hard because obviously cells are microscopic. You don't get all of the tumor. You leave behind some cancer cells, and the hope is our body takes care of them, but they're still growing pretty fast, and so they can form another tumor. But if we put stem cells there, now the cancer cells are competing, and so at the very least, the tumor can't grow as big, if that makes sense. Or it can't be such a big part of the organ that doesn't do its job. The stem cells will start doing its job, and it will work better. So that's how we're kind of using stem cells. There are some looking into training stem cells, kind of like skipping the virus idea of delivering messages and giving the stem cells the unique ability to attack cancer cells, then putting them inside of humans as like amped up immune cells. But that's a little bit further away, I think. So
Yeah, I think I saw something like using them as T cells.
yeah, that's the kind of idea, like basically creating super immune cells with your own stem cells. So I mean, that's one of the things that I guess I probably should have said, or it was in yesterday's reading, is a lot of these cancer medications are becoming more and more personalized. And so eventually it's going to become like your cells, we train your cells and they fight it. So it's going to be cool. We're not that far away from that. Like we're getting there. And
I think that's cool.
Yeah, in the last 20 years, it's insane what we've gotten, what we've grown into. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I
All right.
appreciate it. You coming in, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.